Welcome back to my channel. I was planning to do a Q&A session, so I put this story on our Instagram saying if you have any questions, let us know. And I thought I would get questions like, should I use Shopify or should I use WooCommerce? But no, I didn't get those questions. Instead, I had a lot of questions saying, is that your guys in the photo? Is this photo real? Are you serious? Is it a new political art or something? And I see that there is a growing interest in knowing the story behind this picture, and I would like to tell you the story today and show you how we hacked one of the most important art events around the world, Venice Biennale 2013. It's gonna be a very detailed, long story, so grab a drink or some snacks so I don't bore you, and bear with me, it's gonna be a very interesting journey. It all started in 2006 when I first met artist Li Wei. He was looking for a younger artist to work with him. Through some common friends, I got in contact with him, and ever since 2006, I started shooting with him as his assistant, as his backup photographer, and as his production assistant, producer. I was doing all kind of things, and in 2013 I was working as a photographer here in Spain. Actually, exactly before moving into this apartment, I remembered I was saving holidays for the move, and I was like, oh, finally I'm gonna move and I'm gonna have my holiday. And he wrote me a message saying, oh, like next week I'm going to the Venice Biennale, would you come over and shoot this with me? And I was like, are you kidding me? You got invited to Venice Biennale and you didn't tell me. That was something. So immediately I changed my plan. Instead of taking my week off decorating my home, I flew to Venice and joined him at the dock of St. Marco's Square. We gathered together at 5 a.m. before the sunrise. I remembered how cold and tired and how exhausted I was just getting up so early after a trip. As soon as we hopped on board to this gigantic boat, we started working, and I was already working with him for 7 years. I knew exactly what was the deal. It's a beautiful location. It's a huge boat with huge gigantic arms to hang us with the cabling so that we could fly in the air, which in another sense quite of a routine for me because I was doing that already for years with him. I noticed a few differences. When we were shooting up there in the air, there were some small boats filled with people visiting us. I would say secret backstage visit. And they came and they talked and they went, and they came and they went, like 3 boats like that. At first I was like, oh, are they volunteers to join us at the shoot? Oh no. I didn't know who were they, but in fact they were a very important part of the strategy. So after the whole day's shoot, we had plenty of amazing images. We were exhausted. After the day, we went to the gala party, and during the party I learned something very interesting. I realized that Li Wei was not featured by Chinese pavilion, which I take it for granted because if you're a Chinese artist, you go to the Chinese pavilion in the Venice Biennale, which is like kind of normal thing. But he wasn't featured by the Chinese, but by another country. You don't need to be represented by your own country. You actually can go through different routes, especially art has no nationality, art has no boundary. If you had been working with them before, if your value and your artworks represent their values, no problem, you can still collaborate even though you are not one of their citizens. So Li Wei was represented by another pavilion, not in the Arsenal, but outside, in a great location, just a few footsteps from St. Marco's Square. So we had a great time. After the second day, we went to the Arsenal to see the real opening for media. And when we went there, of course, we expect to see the great, amazing artworks, installations, performances from top artists from all over the world. And we sit down in cafes and we listen to art critics and listen to other people talking. Of course, the people who were able to be there at that time were very important industrial professionals. Otherwise, you wouldn't be at the pre-opening. To my surprise, they were talking about a Chinese guy flying in St. Marco's Square. And I was like, wait a second, that was Li Wei, that was us. We were there, hey, it's so cool. And we realized that it's such a great success that we were on every single cover of newspaper of that day. Really, it was a hit. And I didn't realize that during the shoot, but later on I realized that how important it was. The art critics, the publishers, the journalists, they made our story visible. Of course, during the shoot, a lot of people came from all over around to see. They could see us from the St. Paulo Square, from the cruise, from the little boats. It's a part of the plan that we will do it in a public way so everybody could see us. But I didn't know that we could have such a great impact. We were not even in the official program of Venice Biennale 2013, and we were able to be in the center of the spotlight. We stole the show by spending how much? Okay, it's not cheap to organize a huge, gigantic boat with the arms, with the professional team, with the insurance. I came in there voluntarily, so they didn't have to pay for me, but they had to pay for a lot of things. Compared to throwing a gala party in the best location, inviting the press, inviting the collectors, inviting everybody important, it's the fraction of a cost. I have to say it's a very smart strategy. This is thanks to the production team and also Li Wei. He's the master brand behind the shoot and everything. And together, everybody's participation made it happen. And it taught me a lot of things. It taught me, number one, you have multiple ways to get into where you want to get to. You don't have to go through the most visible or most common way, such as being represented by your own country to the Venice Biennale. You couldn't get into the main events. You can also be featured in the satellite events. If this is something you're willing to do, go ahead and get this opportunity for yourself. Number two, you don't need to spend a lot of money to get the press. If you can tell a good story, if you can do something that is very presential, very impactful, very visual, they're willing to do it for you. They're not paid to do it on the front page because they have a front page to fill anyway. So if you're there, if you can offer great content, they will be coming. They will not ask for anything to put you on the front page. Number three is not about how much money you spend, but how you spend it. You can pay a lot of money to get shown in major art events, to get shown in some particular galleries or particular locations, and to get some exposure by media. You can spend, there's no limit. You can spend really hundreds of thousands of dollars. But instead of doing that, you can spend just maybe 10% of that money, and you can get 10 times the results just by doing it smartly. You really have to find out the strategy to maximize your exposure, to tell your story, to build your brand, and to use social media and media, like to use every way possible for your own interest and to channel your own message. And this has to be done in a very mutually beneficial way. Like just by throwing money at them won't do as much as by offering them a great story to tell. So again, tell your story is totally important in terms of success as an artist. And this is what I have learned working with Li Wei in Venice Biennale. We totally hacked Venice Biennale that year. And I'm looking forward to working with him again because I think right around this season he's in Europe again. If you would like to be in touch with him and potentially work with him, drop me a comment below and I will add him as well. Li Wei spent a lot of time in China, and in China he doesn't have access to Instagram, Facebook, so a lot of times he's very slow answering questions. So if you would like to get a message directly to him, also you can leave me a comment and I will pass the message through. That's all for today. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.